Welcome to Pixie and the Paranormal. I'm Pixie, and in this episode of my Summerween series, I'm talking all about sirens, beautiful creatures with powerful voices that frequently lured sailors to their premature deaths. Grab something cold to drink, get comfortable in a cool spot, and stick around. And please don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe for more paranormal content. Hey ghosties, as always, thank you for being here with me. Today we are exploring the history of sirens. This was actually the first idea that popped into my mind when I started throwing around the idea of a Summerween series. It seemed perfect with equal parts beach and lore. Before we dive deep with the sirens though, let me just say that this is the second episode in my Summerween series in which I will be releasing one video each week about some sort of paranormal research that is influenced by summer lore. I want each episode to be a mashup of summer sweets and Halloween creeps. Think pina coladas on a dark and rainy night. Tangent, as I was writing the script to this episode, it was actually a very stormy night, and ghosties, I was thriving. The creative juices in my brain were flowing. Something about the rain does that to me. Any other water signs out there feel the rain deeply in their soul? That will eventually be another episode for another day, but anyway, that is exactly the kind of vibe we want for Summerween episodes. If you want to watch my first episode, it is all about where Summerween comes from, and I will link that video in the description of this video. Okay, so since this episode is all about sirens, let's just get into it. So what exactly is a siren? Well, I know when I hear the word siren, a vision of an alluring, seductive, and dangerous mermaid comes to mind. The kind of enchanting temptress that yields power over men with her dangerous beauty. Something that, if we are being honest, all women want to be. No, we don't want more designer bags. We want to shimmer in the ocean and enjoy the power of our own beauty, but I digress. Anyway, I was shocked when I learned what an actual siren is. According to Britannica Online, a siren in Greek mythology is a creature half bird and half woman who lured sailors to destruction by the sweetness of her song. Did you catch that? A siren isn't a mermaid at all, or at least wasn't at first. A siren is a half woman, half bird mythological creature. Stunned. I was stunned when I read that. Were you surprised too? Just me? I cannot be the only one because I know that I have seen and heard the word siren in pop culture, and it was relating to mermaids, not birds. So what exactly is going on here? Well, we see the first mentions of sirens as being human companions of Persephone, the Greek goddess of spring. We will have to do a whole separate deep dive on Persephone because ghosties, there is so much going on here. But in regard to sirens, it's important to say that Persephone was the daughter of Zeus and Demeter, and she was the goddess of spring, a beautiful maiden who was associated with flowers and growth. Eventually, though, her beauty was noticed by Hades, the god of the underworld, and he abducted her, making her the queen of the underworld and now the ruler of the dead. Once Persephone was taken by Hades to the underworld, her human companions looked for her everywhere and prayed for wings to fly across the sea in search of her. Demeter, Persephone's mother and a powerful goddess herself, was very angry with her daughter's abduction and turned the women into hideous, bird-like creatures as punishment for not guarding her dear Persephone. In art, sirens were depicted as birds with the heads of women, and then later as women with wings and bird legs. These bird-like sirens were more grotesque than beautiful. They lured men to their deaths with their songs only and not from their looks. We then see sirens mentioned in Homer's Odyssey, which is believed to have been written in 750 BC. Yes, I said BC. Odysseus, who was a hero, was advised by Circe about these dangerous sirens. Another quick little tangent because I just cannot help myself. Circe herself was an enchantress whose magic was more powerful than the men around her. Some food for thought there. Anyway, long story short, she and Odysseus became lovers while he was on her island, but eventually Odysseus left her island and Circe gave him some tips for his journey. One of those tips was to be prepared for the sirens he would encounter. Circe warned Odysseus that sirens were capable of luring sailors to their death, and she urged Odysseus to stuff wax in his and his crew's ears so they wouldn't fall prey to the sirens' songs. Odysseus, though, actually wanted to hear their song, so rather than plug his ears with wax, he tied himself to the mast of the ship, preventing himself from being lured to his death by their song. Odysseus heard their song, which apparently promised him knowledge of the future and the events of the Trojan War. So how did we get from the ugly bird-like sirens of ancient Greek mythology to the modern idea of mermaids? Well, the truth is there are several reasons. One is that there is simply a misinterpretation of ancient descriptions. Ancient descriptions of sirens were bird women, but during the medieval times, we see sirens beginning to be portrayed with fishtails, which could be due to confusion with other sea creatures that sailors told tales of. There is also the possibility that there were several different myths around the world pertaining to sirens, and over time, they all became jumbled together. Makes sense, right? But to me, the most compelling explanation for the transition of sirens from birds to mermaids is due to the medieval views on female sexuality. The hideous bird-like sirens were associated with danger, while the alluring mermaids were associated with beauty. During medieval times, Leander of Seville, who was a Catholic bishop, wrote that all women are either nuns or sirens. This is actually a very rigid way of describing women. Either they were celibate and, quote, good, or they were seductive and, quote, dangerous, like the sirens or mermaids. This comparison of essentially good and evil influenced sirens as becoming depictions of, quote, female sin, or rather female sexuality. In other words, being sexy or beautiful equated to being a siren and a sinner. This is probably why we see mermaids having fishtails that cover up the female anatomy that was, quote, sinful. And here is where I go down the rabbit hole, so just bear with me. Hopefully this comes out smoothly because the ideas in my brain are just firing away. The idea that women could fit only into the two categories of nun or siren must have been harmful to both men and women. So if a woman was beautiful, she was a sinner. If a man found this woman attractive, was that also a sin? Or I guess it was at least, quote, dangerous for the man. If men and women engaged in sexual activity even when in marriages, was that too a sin? Even though it is perfectly natural for a woman to be beautiful, for a man to be attracted to that beauty, and for consenting adults to have sexual relations, they're all sinners? How confusing, especially for those married couples who were deeply committed to their faith. Now, I won't go too deep into religion here because I will always be a safe person for people of all faiths. Instead, I am challenging this archaic idea that female beauty and sexuality is inherently a sin and dangerous to men. And also dangerous to women because mermaids or sirens were believed to have no souls. So I'll just let that sit right there. What I personally think was going on here was the manifestation of insecure men at the time. Little eggplant energy, if you will. Just hear me out. There are some psychological factors that would cause a man to devalue women, especially attractive ones, like the demonic yet beautiful sirens. One is that finding a woman attractive can feel threatening to men who have low self-esteem about their own attractiveness or even their own social standing. This can lead to the man trying to put down the woman's attractiveness, which is actually a perceived value of that woman. Honestly, it is one way that misogyny manifests. And according to dictionary.com, misogyny is the dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against women. Hello, Leander of Seville, we are all looking at you. And I say this all with tremendous love in my heart for men. I have been extremely blessed with very strong men in my life. Men who set good examples for me so I know what respect, loyalty, and protection means. I was highly valued by all the men in my life, and I am living proof that not all men are toxic or misogynistic. In fact, it grew the belief in me that masculinity is in opposition to toxicity. True masculinity is the presence of fair leadership, emotional stability, and devotion, amongst many other things. And since I have had the privilege of strong men, I think that I actually see this depiction of sirens as pleasantly accurate. Sirens were beautiful, and that beauty held a certain power over men. In fact, men were powerless when they encountered a siren. Now, I know I'm a Pisces, and I tend to romanticize everything, but that actually sounds so poetic to me. Don't we see this dynamic in virtually all love stories? The man is so attracted to the woman that he would do anything for her. I've watched it all around me my whole life. Strong couples where the husband values his wife so much that making her happy makes him happy. Happy wife, happy life, right? I know that is silly, but it also shows how so many things intersect in life and through time. I even feel it in my own marriage. Am I a siren 24/7? God, no. My favorite pastime is being at home where I can just be ugly, but I do enjoy the power of beauty that womanhood has blessed me with. And I realized that sirens weren't just beautiful and powerful, they were dangerous. But I think that dangerous part is where the misogyny came into play. The idea that the power the beauty wielded was dangerous is ridiculous to me. Just because something holds power over you does not make it dangerous. The love a parent has for their children holds tremendous power over them. Is that a dangerous power? Not at all. It's the kind of power that ignites unconditional love. Is the power that a woman's beauty holds over men dangerous? Maybe, between the wrong people, but in general, I would say that it's a big part of a healthy couple. Healthy being the important word here. So while Leander of Seville meant to suppress women by his statement that all women can only be nuns or sirens, I take that as the affirmation that women are naturally beautiful and ethereal, and that beauty holds power beyond our wildest imaginations. There is a siren swimming in the depths of our feminine souls, just waiting to be liberated. Leave me a comment about what Summerween topic you would like to hear about next. Happy Summerween!